Shem Hashem, Natzliach, Shavua Tov V'Barach, B'ezrat Hashem Hayom. Today, we want to go over what we were doing when we first started these Shiurim. So people who went with us, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to do a recap. But before we were doing Arvit, so we know we haven't finished Arvit, but now that we have the Sidurim of Shaharit, so we can go over what we learned in Arvit by applying it to Shaharit. Yeah. So B'Shem Hashem says, I think we need to do Shacharit. We did before. The reason we did Arbit was for two reasons. Number one was that it was easier because it's shorter. You go straight into Olam Abriya, right? Number two was we didn't have Sidurim for Shacharit. Now we have Sidurim for Shacharit. So we're using our Sidur. There's rather Shem in future weeks. Maybe we'll be able to put it in the screen for people who are watching the Shiurim. We're not in the Shiur live. You want to use one of those Sidurim? Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple. They just put them back after. Yeah. Okay, so what we've done with the Sidur Doshei Yochodecha is have lots and lots of charts and tarshimim, different ways of explaining what we have to do. So we learnt previously that in Nahar Shalom, the Rosh Kadosh, not in describing Arbit or Shachri, but in describing Kirat Shema L'Mitah, he says, now I'll explain to you B'Kitzunim Ratz, in an absolute, concise way, all the different stages that there are in the avodah of what we call, he said, the whole avodah, it comes from Mevosharim. The Rav says, Arizal, the whole avodah of Kabbalah is Rafach, right? Man, calls it man, umochin. You send the man up and you bring the mochin down. So the Arizal already summed up the whole of what we're doing in just two things, man umochin. Okay, now this manu mochin has to go through all these stages, right? You have to do Aliyat Rafach, and then you take up the Achor, and then you finish with the Achor and Shema, and then you have to bring down the Panim, and you start with Vak the Gadlut, then you bring the Gad the Gadlut, and that's of Ima, they have to bring of Abba, and then there's Zivuk and Sim Shalom. All of that we worked out to 13 stages. Yeah, so if you haven't got the sheet of the 13 stages, it's Kedai, I've got spare ones over there. Okay, now these 13 stages is in every tefillah. It's in Shacharit, Mincha, Arvit. It's even in Kriyat Shema L'Mitah. It's in virtually every avodah that we do. Yep. And these 30 stages, we took our Sidurim and we went through the Sidur and we put in all the 13 stages. So now what we need to do is the same thing for Shacharit. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, before you get to even start number one, right, you have to get to Daatsilut. Because number one starts already in Daatsilut. Okay, we're talking about mochin. So in Arvit, it's very simple. You say, when you get to Asher B'Barom Aravim, you're already in Hechal Yisod Malchut, the Bria. How did you get there? Magic. You didn't have to go to Rumasya, no Yetzirah, you didn't have to go to Bria. You're just there, right? So either, there's four different opinions. Either it's from the Kaddish, or it's from the Baruch Hu, or it's Asher B'Dvar Marav, the word Asher, or it's Memela. Bati Legani says it happens through the Hachana when you say Harin Mukhanu is on the Kem Mitzvat Asher, Palet Tfilat, no, Mechila. Harin Mukhanu Palet Tfilat Arvit, Shitken Yaakov Avinu. The Hachana from the Tfilah already takes you up to Olam Abriya. Why is it that you go straight to Abriya? Because it says in Shah Kavanot, we saw inside, if I remember correctly, that it's too dangerous to go into the law Olamot in Arvit time because it's dinim. So we have to start already when you already got to the top. Yeah, which was interesting. How does it happen anyway? Does it mean if for Shachri I would miss out some, I can catch up later on? Any covenant we do, we said is good. So based on the sources that we saw, the different opinions, and we're following that opinion. So now we take Shachrit. So let's look at some of what we're saying inside. So first of all, if we look at page 6. Page 6, yeah. So we see page 6. We got Pniimiyot and V'itzoniyot. This chart that you're looking at is the chart of the yeshiva of Rav Mordechai Tzia, Ateret Mordechai, Chaim B'Shalom, used to be called. And this is the chart that they produced. It's based on the chart. If you have an Etz Chaim and you look at the end of Etz Chaim before you start Nahar Shalom, there's a big chart there of the Alei Nahar, and it comes from his sefer. The Alei Nahar was Rav Nissim Raphael Harari. He was a Halabi. Yeah, and Rav Shaul Becker Cohen held that he was his Rebbe. Whether they actually learned in the Shiurim or he didn't learn in the Shiurim, he held him as being his Rebbe because he wrote his Hagaot on Alei Nahar. Alei Nahar is one of the most important books in the Kavanot because he goes through the nitty gritty in such a short, concise way for us, and a lot of the things are built on Shem and Sason Alei Nahar. So they republished it in Avat Shalom last year. It's available. I've got a spare copy at home if anybody wants, because I've got a few copies of them. So in the tabla of the Alei Nahar, you see there's Chitzoniot and there's Pniimiyot. The Chitzoniot HaOlamot, there's actually three levels. There's Pniimiyot, Chitzoniot, and the Chitzoniot HaKolel. The Chitzoniot HaKolel is what we fix when we do the Seudot. So if you do Seudat Shacharit, it will be in a certain place, Mincha and Arvit, according to the Tefillot that we do. So if you have a meal in the morning or in the evening, it's Metaken somewhere else in the Olamot. Then you have the right to Birkat Hamazon, Birkat Nehenim. It's all to do with that. So that's not part of Tefillah. Then you have the Chitzoniot HaOlamot. The Chitzoniot HaOlamot is fixed in Shacharit through the Arba Ma'asim. Right? What's Arba Ma'asim? Yifneh, Yitol v'Yifneh, and then Talit, Tilin Shel Yad, Tilin Shel Rosh. And that's Be'erech because it's more complicated. But if you look carefully on the right side, you'll see number 29. Then you got number 30, Yifneh. And the person goes to be excused, and he takes out the klipot by being excused. Yeah. Then he's metaken the bria of Asiyah. And then Chai Brachot the Birkat HaShachar. And then you got Yitol Netilat Yadayim. So you see how you metaken Asiyah by the Abba Ma'asim. Now when you metaken them, there's kavanot in the brachot. Apart from the bracha, the matbeh bracha of tzitzi, of Asher Yatzar, and Chai Brachot, and Netilat Yadayim. Aside from the matbeh bracha itself, which is a bracha, which we have to learn how to do matbeh bracha, there's special kavanot in those brachot to megaresh the klipot. Either the mochin that we bring down, send them away, or we have to send them away in order to bring the mochin. It's a stira and the lashon. When we bring down the mochin, automatically they run away. So when you make a bracha and you start, saying Atilat Yadayim or Chai Brachot or Birkat Shachar, every time you make one of those brachot, you're bringing down a rot, and the klipa of Asiyah is being neutralized to the Chitzoniot HaOlamot. Yeah. Now the problem is after you bring in the Birurim, they need to go up because they need to end up in Daatsilut. So we have to go all the way up this ladder, but they can't go up in the Chitzoniot HaOlamot. They can't go up. So you fix them and they stay there. Then you go to the section level above, number 21, 22, 23, 24, and you've got Talit Katan, Talit Gadol. You can see it's in the Talit Katan 22, 24, Talit Gadol. So if you make the brachot, so now I'll show you very quickly. Look, if you turn one page to page 8, here already you've got Talit Katan, Talit Gadol, and Tefillin. So look at the numbers on page 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you see them? So you wear your Talit Katan, which you're already wearing all night. Okay, when you make the bracha, talit, and you say l'shem yichud of the Ben Ish Chai, it says "Arim yichud lekam liftor talit katan shalai." Yeah. Now, if you look in the Siddur Rashash, you can see clearly, according to the result, that's not what they did, unless they slipped it in the Ashkenazim, right? They made the bracha mitzvah tzitzit as well, not what we do. Big machloket nachronim what to do about it. So al pi halacha, they pass. I think the Shalmei Tzibur, Rabbi Yom Tov Al-Ghazi, he passed in one of that generation. He made one bracha. But until that time, from the Arizal in Nashar Kavod, it sounds like he was making two brachot every day. Okay, but either way, there's two different tikkunim. So the tikkun, apart from the mitzvah aseh, or if it's the Rabbanan, or it's Chachamim obliged us to do it in Sefer Charedim, in this one nusach of Sefer Charedim, it says a Chachamim, a person in Nidui, if they wouldn't wear talit katan, Arba Kanfor. So then it becomes a requirement to do it, otherwise we're going to be put in Nidui. Okay, but otherwise it says only if you happen to have a full garment, only then do you wear it. So why we force ourselves to do it? So Chachamim wanted us to wear it every day, right? Before the Arizal says that we have to wear it all the time, even when a person is osek with ishto, because Ben Ish Chai brings a proof in Od Yosef Chai. He says, how do we know that they wore the talit katan all the time, even when they were doing? He says because David HaMelech one day was in a bathhouse and he was arum, and he said, "I've no mitzvahs around me," right? So it says, and then he remembers he had his Brit Milah. There's a pasuk, I can't remember what the pasuk is now, it's gone out of my head. Yeah, he said a certain pasuk that has Shem a mitzvah around me. And he realized even when he's in the bathhouse, there's a mitzvah of Brit Milah, which is still with him. So the Ben Ish Chai says from the Arizal, what about Talit Katan? All right.
He says you have to be with
When you take it off, you also don't have any. It says, you see, he was wearing it all the time. Sleep with everything, right? Yeah. So he says he does the best Ben Ish Chai. Okay. So when you wear your Talit Katan, you mechaven on number 1 to be mafrit the klipot. See now, you see the numbers 21, 22, 23, 24. Can you see it's the same numbers? But it's only the zun. So if you go back now to page 6 and see number 22, it says above it Talit Katan. So Talit Katan, now you know it means a zun of number 22. That's what you got rid of. You mechaven in the brachat. You'll see in the Siddur HaShash, if you've got one, when you say the bracha of Talit, all these different things are going on. So first of all is zun of number 22. Then Talit Gadol, you have to do the zun of number 23 and 24, as well as 31 and 32 underneath. So Olam Asiyah as well, not just Yetzirah, because it's left behind from before. Okay, so when you have the numbers on page 6, they're not exhaustive. They're only showing you certain parts of those numbers. Anyway, this is not what we want to learn today. So I'm just telling you an overview, which you get an idea. And then you got Tefillin Shel Yad and Tefillin Shel Rosh. Okay, just for the people who want recording. So this is the chart that we're talking about. Okay, and there's a tabla of Alei Nahar. We can't send it up to you maybe another time. Okay, so now what we learned from this, Rabotai, is if you look at this whole page, number 8, this is only in the Chitzoniyot. Can you see that? Number 8 is only Chitzoniyot. It's the right side of page 6. So when we do the Arba Ma'asim, right? Yifneh v'yitol, go to the toilet, send it to Idayim, Birkat HaShachar, until Birkat Torah included. And then you wear a talit, and then you Katan, and then Gadol, and then you wear Tefillin Shel Yad, which Bechlalut is 15 and 16. Yeah. And then Tefillin Shel Rosh as well, which is above in there. You fixed all the olamot, Asiyah, Yetzirah, Birurim, and Daatsilut of the Chitzoniyot. But they're fixed in their place. So if you're in Daatsilut, fine, no problem. But what happens to the ones below that? They need to be taken up. So they don't get taken up themselves. They go up when the peniut goes up, when we do the tefillah. So what we have to start with now is all the Birurim come in. Now, how do the Birurim come in? So we start Shaharit, and there's a certain kavanah, we will see what it is. When we do that kavanah, the Birurim come in. But let's say, for argument's sake, it's in the word Ketoret. Because we already said that in Arvit. When did the Birurim Arvit come in? We said in Shaharit, Ketoret. So if we quickly jump, now we got this. But I tell you something, we can actually look it up straight away. Page 82. 82. 82. It says in section number 4, right? Right? To be mevarer. אתה הוא השם אלוקינו כתוב לפניך את קטורת, קטורת gematria 11 times אדנות. Yeah? 11 times אדנות. And what does it say? The Rasha says, gematria י' א' פעמים אדנות, הנבררים מהקליפות. They're being nivra. That means they're being separated from all the klipot as taking the birurim, and that's they're going to be fixed. Now, in these birurim, there's the ones of Shaharit, the ones of Mincha, and the ones of Arvit. All of them. It must be a great kasha, but Arvit came first in creation, right? So I'm not asking that question now. Okay. You say the first Arvit was done from Hashem. Subsequent Arvit. Do you understand why I'm asking this question? In halacha, if you make an eder, when does an eder start? So I'm making an eder for a whole day, I'm not going to drink coffee. Right? So does it start from Shaharit or from Arvit? I'm not learning Chumash now. It depends what my kavanah is. So what do most people mean when they say a day? Right? So generally in business, it goes from the morning. Rabbi Elashi says that generally in business, it goes from the morning. People who say a day, they usually mean the day. Right? But if it's a bar mitzvah, something like that, those kinds of halachot, then it will be from the night. Anyway, Vahir Erev Boker, according to the Rashbam, it means Vahir Erev. That means that it's now Erev because there was a day. Vahir Boker means it's now morning because it passed the night. In the Gemara Brachot, Daf Bet Amud Bet, it has a whole different pshat in the Gemara. It doesn't mean like we think it means. Vahir Erev means that the day finished and it was Erev. That means it was already a day before it. So it started in the day. Yeah, according to that. It's Machlokei the Gemara itself, actually, it comes out. Right? So anyway, that's not our business now. So when you say the word Ketoret, all the Birurim are coming in. Now these Birurim that come in, we've previously done this Achor and this Panim together. Right? What I'm talking about, Achor and Panim, remember? The Achor, right, is until the Ava of Shemona Esrei. Remember, the Ava, then you bring down the Panim. Yeah? So there's lots going on in here. Okay, it's not for today, but we have to see that there's not just one set of birurim, there's many sets of birurim that come in. So when you say this word ketoret and shacharit, kawana, right? There's a lot going on. Kawana. So when they come in, so yeah, now what about the bits before this? Until now, what was going on? What were we talking about in the tefillah? What were we referring to before? So they were from yesterday's one. Okay, so just to come back to page 6 now. So on page 6. We'll say yesterday.
Korbanot as well. Before you get to the Torah, or
That is the korbanot.
okay, so
Yeah. There's a whole system you have to explain what goes on day 1, day 2, day 3, but that's nitty gritty. That's not for now. Okay. On page 6, yeah, on page 6, when we got the tabla of La'alei Nahar. So if a person is not got one of these sidurim on page 6, so we're talking about the equivalent of the tabla of La'alei Nahar. So when we talk about the pnimiyut olamot. In the Pniimiyot HaOlamot, you've also got Abiyah, Daatsilut, Bria, Yasira, Be'orech, yeah? And that's really what we have to focus on when we're doing Shacharit, okay? We have to start with Asiyah, then Yetzirah, then Bria, and then Daatsilut. So when we say everything into Ezeu Mekoman, and we come to Ezeu Mekoman, we do the Hechalot of Asiyah, and then Kaddish, and they go up to Yetzirah. And when they go up to Yetzirah, you know why you have to hold your tzitzit, Haim. You know why you hold your tzitzit? Baruch Shamar. Yeah, you hold your tzitzit.
There's no Hashem there. So it's like Hashem.
What Hashem? What is Hashem?
Yeah.
You're holding Hashem?
No, but
What?
I don't
Lama, why do you hold your tzitzit? I'm asking you. The answer is because the Birurim of the Chitzoniyot can't go up, and you have to take them up. So when you go from Asiyata Yesirah, yeah, you say Hodu Hashem Nechlu Rishmo, a nice Moroccan tune, and you come to the Baruch Shama, you say Kichawa Hasdo, and then you hold your tzitzit, yeah. So you know what you're doing. What you're being mesamen. You're showing that now the birurim of the pnimiyut, that means 26, 27, and 28, is now going up to Yetzirah, and you're going to take up with you the birurim of Yifnei V'Yitol and Chai Brachot to the tikkun of Yetzirah, which is the talit. So when you're holding the talit, you're schlepping up the chitzoniyot with the pnimiyut, right? So you want to see the kavanah for that. So if we go to Baruch Shamar, it's so nice. We've got this Sidurim. I can't. It's such a. They're not just talking about concepts. We can see it inside straight away. Page 161.
161.
161 and 162. Starts on 161. And over here we mechaber asiyat yetzirah. So it says at the top of 161, Baruch Shamar. May Baruch Shamar yotzer hu ba'olam yetzirah. Yeah? And then you see what you do is as you take the Shemot, the top of the page of every page, you've got now, before we only had Olam Asiyah, now we've got the Hey going into the Vav on the top of the page, yeah? Yod Vav Dalet going, the red ones are the new ones, Olam Yetzirah. The black ones is Olam Asiyah. So we're going from Asiyah to Yetzirah. So now from this section, every single page in the Siddur HaShash, you have to be Mechaven in general, Shulchan David, Yirat Hashem, Eved Hashem, there's 3 different abadim, and then that these are the avodah from Asiyah to Yetzirah. And at the bottom of the page, it tells you how you connect it. Mi Baruch Shad Yotzer Yechaven Tamid Lichlol Lekasher Lechaber Asiyah Daatsilut. See, now this kavanah isn't the bia tachtonim. It's not the Yetzirah and the Asiyah which you have below. It's the Asiyah which came from Daatsilut, came down at night time, and now we're taking it back up. The Asiyah stays in its place always because that's where it belongs. But there's Bria Daatsilut. That means Bria Yetzer Asiyah of Daatsilut comes down every night to take up the new Birurim. So now we're going to take it up. So this is what we say Asiyah goes up to Yetzirah. We don't really mean the Olam Asiyah goes to the Olam Yetzirah. We mean the Asiyah of Daatsilut If you now go back to page 6 for a minute and look at numbers 2, 3, and 4, 6, 7, and 8. Daatsilut is number 1. Forget that for now. We'll come to that afterwards. Bria Daatsilut is number 2. You see that number 2? Look at the Shemot of the Kelim. You got Havaya Adanut Elokim, right? Every night they fall down and they go to 10, 11, 12. Can you see how they become 10, 11, 12? The blue. And then number 3, the yellow, becomes Yetzirah Tachtona. And the last one, that teal color, goes to Asya. Now what that means is that in Atzilut, there's a Bechina which is the real Atzilut, which is at number 1, Atzilut. You only get there in Shema when you say Milat Echad. That's where the Birurim have to end up. But before they end up in number 1, they have to come to 2, 3, and 4. And then 2, 3, and 4 goes all the way down to all the other places. Right? And then slowly we take them back up through the Tfilot and bring them back up to Atzilut, to number 2, 3, and 4. Aside from that, you've got Bria Tachtona, Yetzirah Tachtona, and Asya Tachtona, which stay where they are. They belong there. Right? Any questions? Slowly. That means when we say the word Ketoret, which is on page 82, we're bringing 2 families of Birurim. One family of Birurim, of Rafah, is called Bia Tachtonim. They stay in the places that we just mentioned. 26, 27, 28 is Asya Tachtona. They never move from there. They belong over there. But as well as them will be these colored Elokim, Elokas, right? Which came from number 4. So number 4 goes down to 26, 27, 28 every day. And when we do Ezem Kuman, we take it up. In the Hodu and Kaddish, we take it up. So number 4, which is in 26, 27, 28, number 4 now goes to 18, 19, and 20. And that's what it's telling you on page 161. Go back to 161. מברוך שאמר, אני רוצה יכוון לתמיד לכלול, לקשר, לחבר, העשייה דאצילות, number 4. See, we put number 4 in there? To us, commentary. שהיה בתוך עשייה תחתונה 26, 27, 28. ועתה, now, שהיא ביצירה דאצילות, 3, שנמצא בתוך יצירה תחתונה 18, 19, 20. So they go into 18, 19, 20. And these are the shemot that show us that that's happening. The top line, which is in black, that's Asiyah, number 4. And the red line is number 3. And number 4 is going to number 3. Right? Because number 3 is in 18, 19, and 20. Came down last night. And that's not from now. From this page onwards, the top of the page will have these shemot. See the top of the page, you got these shemot. So it happens at this point, live, just before you do Baruch Shema. Then you turn the page. And you see this page, it looks like 2 houses. Red houses, right? It's supposed to be showing you the Pniimiyot Olamot and the Chitzoniyot Olamot, and how through our Nefesh and Ruach, when we go up, we take up. See number 3, it's like a Chibur. It schleps up the Chitzoniyot as well with it. You understand? So when you hold a Tzitzit, you're showing that you're taking up the Chitzoniyot with the Pniimiyot together. That's why you hold on to it. Yeah? Versteht? In Arabic. So just before we'll just what we've learned, we'll just see it written inside on page 161 in the middle. But it's number 1. Number 1. לכלול החיצוניות עם הפנימיות כדי שיעלה. So as it says it there, different shitot, but let's read whenever you've got, by the way, in the siddur that we've done, whenever you've got the beige background, which is like sort of parchment sort of color, kind of a bit pinky in this edition. Previous edition was a bit more browny. That is where the lashon of the Rashash is. And when it's in Rashi, it means it's Rashash. If it's a concept or something that we want to exaggerate, so we've got a different font, which is called David, right? And if it's anything extra that's not in the Lashon or Rashash, it will be in brackets. If it's not in brackets, you know it's the Rashash himself. Yochaz b'beis tzitziot, hold them, and we put in brackets from the Sidur Yareh, the shtei kanfot talit. You know, when you wear a talit, there's ways of wearing the talit. 99% of the people don't wear the talit according to the Rashash, according to the Ari. It says you have to hold it in your left hand and give it to your right hand, and then you must take it round, not from above. When you wear a garment, you take it round to machniya, the right, to machniya, the left. I still remember my father when he used to wear his coat. I used to think, wow, what a crazy way to wear a coat. Why don't you just put your hands in, right? And he wasn't doing any kavanah. He was a simple man, but he probably learned from his father and his father's father. They wore the coats. They swung it round. You know what I'm talking about? You wear your coat instead of putting one hand on, swing it around the back, and then So that's what you wear tali. You're supposed to swing it around. Then when you put it over, there's all sorts of things that you have to do to fulfill all the kavanah, all the different situations, right? But the Rasha says when he says Maher ve'aveh aleinu bracha, you have to put your tali 2 on this side and 2 on this side. That means until then, all the 4 were in the front. See the old men when they wear the tali, I'm sure they all do the bit like that, around the back, and it comes through the arm and through the arm. And then these yeshiva bachrim come along from Gateshead, they learn a bit of Torah, a bit of Mishnah Berurah, say, hey, that's now you wear tali, you must wear like this and like this, you know. The right way the Rasha say, in the beginning of Shacharit, you wear around your back. When you come in Maher ve'aveh, then because we only had the achor, only the mochin of the achor of Nuk. Now you got the panim as well, so there's all 4. So there's 2 in front and 2 behind. There's kavanah in that as well. Then he said, "Ma'abakan for the aretz." Then you bring them into where they have to be in all the 4 parts of. But before they were only in 2 parts, not in 4 parts of the directions. Okay, you won't get punished in Shemayim for not doing it. It's okay, right? But just to know the accuracy of it, you know, as Rabbi Tia says, the fan blows and the pages go one after the other. We don't know what's written in the pages, you know. The fan helps us, you know, to push the pages. So when we're doing the talit at this stage, you don't have to put them on your shoulders. You can even leave it behind. Okay, that's all the point I was trying to say. Okay, so now we go back to this big important chart on page 6. Okay, Ma lamadnu. What did we learn, Rabotai? We learned that when you wake up in the morning, you have to do arba ma'asim to metaken daatsilut bria yetzira asiyah of the v'chitzonיות. What are the arba ma'asim? Ifnei v'yitol, tali katan, tali gadol, shel yad, shel rosh. Yeah, that's arba ma'asim. Netzah yadayim. Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And if you look in the I didn't bring everything here because there'll be another 800 pages. But if you've got a Siddur Hashash with Birkat HaShachar in it, you'll see these names at the end of every bracha. Yeah, if you're doing Nitzah Yadayim, will be Shem Elokim. If you're doing Birkat HaShachar, 18 times you have Tzirufim of Eli. Each time you have an Aleph, and then a Lamed, and then a Yud. You know, if you learn maths, factorials. So if you've got 3 Batim, says the Sefer Yetzirah, so it'll be 3 factorial divided by 2. So how many tzurufim are there? 6. Yeah. You got Aleph, Lamed, Yud, Aleph, Yud, Lamed, Lamed, Aleph, Yud, Lamed, Yud, Aleph, and then Yud, Aleph, Lamed, and then Yud. Right? Huh?
6 ways.
Yeah, 6 ways of combinations. Okay. You have to do it 3 times for a reason. Chai brachot comes to 18. Okay, I'll explain to you why, but it's all around the word Keli, Eli. So every bracha is 1 letter of Eli until you do all the Keli. And those are the names of the Kelim. We talked about Kelim before. We got the Orot and the Kelim, right? So those are the names of the Kelim. That's why you've got these names. In Yifne, in Asher Yatzar, you'll see the Shem is Eloka. That's the name of the Kelim. Okay, so what do we do when we do these 4 Maasim? We bring the Mochin. Okay, so now a very, very important question. This is a question we have to learn it now, and always remember it because it remains 2 different ways of understanding. When the Birurim come in, we learned actually it was in last week's parasha. It was in the Aliyat which I had in Avad and read it about the names of the klipot. Do you remember what it says? It says it's got names of it. There's 4 klipot. If you look, I'll show you. Page. So nice to have this to do. Page Rabotai, page 81. Yeah.
Which one?
Page 81. So page 81, it says, you see the Birurim, how they come in. So if you're looking at the page, you can see the right side and the left side, V'chitzonיות and Pniimiyot. It's not so clear, but you see V'chitzonיות in the middle column, right? The yellow and the pink. V'chitzonיות, Pniimiyot. Yeah, and then at the bottom of Asiyah, you got the Hechalot of Ezra Command, which is why we've got it here, because we're learning it. And look at the numbers, 25, 26, 27, 28. So now you can connect it to the other tziyut. Now, when the Birurim come in, they're in the klipot. Now, the klipot are not underneath the olamot like we think. There are klipot over there, but the only time we know about any kavanah which is associated with the klipot underneath the olamot is in Alenu Shabbat, yeah, v'nachu shtachavim, shonotei shamayim over there, and also in Erev Shabbat there's a mashmot that's underneath. But even that's a mistake, because always the klippot on the side. So in all the olamot there's klippot, and if we would learn it very carefully, we have to understand there's orot makifin and there's orot the yosher, and between how they are around, there's livushim around the orot yosher, right? And then orot pnimim. And when you get to the makifim, which are around between the two, that's where the klippot are. They're not completely on the outside. There's somewhere in the middle. There's areas which are in the middle, and that's where they yonek from. So we have to stop them, right? So now, what are the klippot? It says klippat ruach se'ara, klippat anan gadol, klippat esh lakahat. Right? These are the three. The more outside they are, the worse they are. Until you come into the one which is called klippat noga. Now, klippat noga has got a good side and a bad side. This is the esadat tovera. It's got the good side and the bad side. So first, the klippot, the good stuff, which we need to fix, is in the bad side, right? And it comes along, and we have to mevarer it from the bad side over to the good side, and then it comes into the hechalot. So every day they surface, like they come to the surface. Every day, especially how to understand this, how time moves around in the 6,000 years. We talked about 6,000 years, how we work it out, yeah, in Patuf Yomi. So as the way the Da'atzil again explains it is every day we shift along the Chalal HaPanui. So there's a new Birurim. It's not shot that they come in. We go to them. The whole Avodah moves to where they are. So now they're the one. Imagine there's the observatory. I always give this mashal. If you've ever been to Eilat and you see the underground observatory, right? So there's a glass room. Now every Shabbat that glass room goes up to Da'atsilut, and they even ask, "We're still in this world. Did you go to Da'atsilut?" The answer is, if you feel the kedusha of Shabbat, your neshama is in Da'atsilut. You do go up. Your neshama goes up to Da'atsilut, right? But the body stays down here. Now, but the whole mitziyut of the world goes up to Da'atsilut. And then Motzei Shabbat, we no'am, right? Hashem Yachem, help us, we're going in. That's it. Right? The חידה, רבינו חידה. אז גאון זנו, רבינו חידה Tanji. The חידה says that when you say Baruch Hu, you must say, so even the Ben Ish Chai so closely, because they're going back into Gehinnom and you don't want them to be angry. If you push them too quickly, they will be angry with you. They'll be angry with you. You have to be me'achem on them, right? And who goes in there? The neshamot of that kehillah. If they happen to be in Gehinnom, so they're the ones that you know them. You know those people. Have a chamal on them. Yeah. Okay. So now what happens? This glass kabiyachol, this glass observatory thing goes back into the klipot. Motzei Shabbat. Why does it go there? So that during the week, each one of the 7 days, new birurim will come in, and you can fix them. The whole purpose of we going into the klipot is to fix the birurim. Okay, so we're inside a protected area in the kedusha, but the whole world goes into the klipot, surrounded by klipot all around. And every day they come in. So they come in from these 3 different klipots. I was saying the pasuk because it said something about remember? You read it for me. So that's one of the names of the klipot. When they get to Klippat Noga, that's where we can already do something about it. So the Klippat Noga actually is the Klippat Noga of the Hechalot, Ezem Koman, right? In each Hechal that we do, so you take it from the Klippat Noga of that particular one. Now, the way we are explaining it now, Rabotai, there is one explanation. It all goes down to the bottom one, which is Hechal Livnata Sapir, and then it goes up from there. But that's not necessarily the only way to learn it. And we've got Rayot from Rabbi Shaul that he learned. Many other Mefarshim as well learn. If you want to do both, you'll drive yourself crazy. You can't do every opinion in the world. Sometimes you've got to choose and say, I'm following one, otherwise, it's too much to do every single opinion. You'll get confused what you're doing, and in the middle you will forget which one you're following. So I'm following the opinion that they come in straight into the Hechalot. That means the only one that goes to the bottom is the one that belongs in the Hechal Livnat Sapir of Asiyah. Now we said when we say Ketoret, there's two families of Birurim. One is called Asiyah Tachtona, or Bia Tachtonim, Bia Yesi Asiyah. So Asiyah Tachtonim, it stays there. That's where it belongs. You put him in there, you fix him, and it stays there. But as well as that, there's the one that comes from Daatsilut, which was numbers 2, 3, and 4. So number 2 is Bria Daatsilut. So number 4 is going to be Asiyah Daatsilut. At night time, number 4 came down all the way down to 25, 26, 27, and 28. And there's 7 different bechinot of the Hechalot. So when you say Et Ketoret and you mechaver on the 11 Adonuts, straight away, they all come into the Hechalot. They all come inside. Now what we have to do is, we have to take the one which belongs to number 4, which has to end up in Daatsilut, and take him one level up to the Hechal above him. Right? Then also take the one which belongs to Hechal Etzem HaShamayim of number 4, as well as one that already came up with him, and take those 2 up to the one above that. And then there'll be 3. So you take them all up, and they all end up in Hechal Kodesh Kodashim when you get to where? Shlamim Kadashim. Right? In Shlamim Kadashim, you brought everything up. There'll be a hole at the bottom, so you have to put part of a special chelik that comes in the word Ketoret, that's mashlim, the one at the bottom, because it's not empty. When we get to that, we'll explain it. So there's actually 3 different things that happen in Ketoret. One for Bia Tachtonim, one for Bia Daatsilut, and one for that chelik, which has got a hole in it. You have to fix it. I'll explain what that means later. I'm just telling you from now, so it's mushlam. So Rabotai, if you're with me and you understand what I'm saying, when you get to Shlamim Kadashim, all the Birurim of Asiyah, Daatsilut, number 4, that came down to 18, to 25, 26, 27, 28, all of them now in Kodesh Kodashim. When you say Kaddish, you take them up. When you get to Hodu, they are now in the Malchut of Yetzirah. Hodu till Baruch Shema is a special, it's a special, I don't want to say hocus pocus, but basically what happens is the Malchut of Yetzirah is now, it used to be called Gar Asiyah, and it just switches around. You give it a new name. You know the way to explain it? Like Mashal, you see a bus. In the old days, they didn't have these digital things. They had these things that turned, I don't know, it was very handwritten, right, machine written. You got a bus 253, goes to Stamford Hill, and it sits over there and they get to the road, and suddenly the guy takes it out and puts another number in, it becomes another bus. Yeah? Magic. Not 253 anymore. Different cuff. So too, it used to be called Gar Asiyah, now it became Malchut Asiyah, Ad Yetzirah. And that's cool, we went up to Olam, right? So there's a special dual identity, it's binary, right? Bistable, whatever you want to call it, right? It's got 2 identities, schizophrenic. Yeah? So that's what happens between Hodu and Baruch She'amar. You now, suddenly, you are in Asiyah, now you're in Yetzirah. Okay, and then we have to go up the same Echalot in Yetzirah, which will be 17, 18, or 18, 19, and 20, I should say, those 3. Yeah. When you do that in the Hallelujahs, each Hallelujah, you go up 1 Hechal, and then you take up with you everything that you did in Asiyah, as well as the ones which are in Yetzirah, until you get to Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah. And Dudi's getting ready to start Nishma. Which tune should I do today? Should I do a Chaim Luk tune, or should I do Meir Atias? And Yaakov Oved is thinking, well, I should do a Iraqi tune. What is this, a Moroccan tune? Dahmuchin is Moroccans. Yeah. Okay, so then we have to do the same thing again for Olam HaBriah. And as we go through the Hechalot, Yosef, Choshech, we get to Eladon, is Hechal Chesed, if it's Shabbat, right? Until we get to Shema. So you understand? We're going up in the Aliyat. Now, Rabotai, we said, if you go now back to page 6, we said that when we did Baruch She'amar, we held the Sisit. Why did we hold it? In order to take up the Birurim of the Chitzoniot, right? Of the Yitol V'Yifneh Chai Brachot, right? Because they were stuck in Olam Asiyah. We need to take them up to Yetzirah. Now we took them up to Yetzirah when we held our Sitzit in Baruch She'amar. But what about now the ones which are in Yetzirah, which has in it, it has in it number 7 and 8. You understand when I say 7 and 8, what I mean? 7 and 8 came down, and we fixed them today when we did Abba Masim. Now, 7 and 8 is stuck in 22, 23, and 24. We need to take it up to 14, 15, and 16, right? How do we take it up? So when you say Yotzer or Ubor Hoshech, you have to kiss your tefillin shel yad. The tefillin shel yad is Olam Bria. So you take him up over there. So when you kiss your tefillin shel yad, you're schlepping up the chitzoniot, the mochin, the birurim of the chitzoniot ha'olamot as well, right? And then when you get to Ga'al Israel, according to most, but not all, according to Ben Ish Chai, Kaf HaChaim, and others, yeah, you touch your tefillin shel rosh. And how to do exactly, we went through this. Hashem, you can look at Avchin and go through all the Mekorot. We'll explain it one day. Okay, but the Batile Gani, Rav Hillel says you don't have to do it. It's Mimela, it happens automatically. You don't even have to do it. But it is mentioned. So the minhag is, I think. So that's the question.
Right.
So the best thing to do is to touch, put your hand on Gal Yisrael, and hold it, because you don't want to do an extra Tanuach one extra, it might be hefsek in the Tefillah. So just keep your hand over there until you say, you finish Hashem Sevatad Yiftach. Because in the word Tehilatecha, that's where the Gar of Bria becomes Malchut Da'atsilut. And you say the word Tehilatecha. So until you get to Tehilatecha, you haven't yet gone into Atsilut. So if you touch your tefillin and you are not yet Da'atsilut, you can't take in. Yeah, so the truth is, this is only a siman. It doesn't mean you made it happen, but we have to do an sometimes a maaseh. Normally, when it comes to the kavanot, right? When you say the word, right? Poel Yeshua, right? The word creates. Right? When you say the word, when you say the word, that's when it happens, and we do the kavanot of what's happening. But sometimes there's a tnuah. In some of the kavanot that we have, for example, you say the word Baruch and you put your guf and then your rosh. The fact that you put your vav, which is your body, down and then the hay to the vav, it causes the gar and the vak of the mochin to come down. So it's not just the words that you're saying, but the actual body movement as well is causing it to happen. Right? So obviously we can say that, I mean, I caused it to happen, that's how Hashem made it. But if it's going to happen, you like anyway, in general, it's going to happen. There's a general thing going to happen, not that it happens to me. But generally, if I didn't do kavanot that day, the world will still fix to some degree. However, it won't be in my bank account. Someone else, other tzaddik will take it from me. That's why they say, says Narizal and Ben Ish Chai as well mentions it, that when you say, when you come to the next world, you'll find half of the things that you're supposed to fix, some other tzaddik got hold of them. So because they're tzaddikim and they don't want to take something which doesn't belong to them, they give it to us. So we pray to Hashem, make it be that we won't be so embarrassed that we'll get back our tikkun and be mushlam, otherwise we're going to lose it. At the same time, Rav Quinka writes, and it's actually Shari Ora, Rav Yosef Shakatilia also writes the same thing, that if one day you're doing a kavanot and you came to Hallelujah, I don't know, right? Hallelujah Nafshit Hashem, and you didn't have kavanah at that point. You got distracted, you're trying to remember a tune or something, I don't know what. Right? Someone came to speak to you about being on time for nets and I don't know, someone right? Marek came to Mati something or other, right? And you didn't have kavanah that second, right? So the Birurim get stuck in that echad. They get stuck over there. Right? They get stuck over there. It says in Shari Ora that the next day when you come to that same place, you can meshachrer otam. You can free them and they go up. At the same time, the Ben Ish Chai says they go up anyway, but the question is whether you get the credit for it. So it's a stira, right? So it must be that they go up, but you can still lemafre the next day. Lemafre take back the schar. So every time I have kavanah, not only for today, but for all the days that maybe in the past that I didn't do it properly. But there's been a lot of yesodot today. But what we're learning now is that how we go up the hechalot in Shaharit, you see in Arvit, this is what we didn't have to do because we go straight to Bria. No problem. Right? So what we want to now, to end up today, at least to see inside, is you see that the ikar avodah is in the pniimiyot ha'olamot, not the chitzoniyot ha'olamot. Without the pniimiyot ha'olamot, the chitzoniyot ha'olamot stuck. זה גם חשוב, אבל they can't work. Right? So now let's look again and see the same thing that we saw in Baruch Shamar, how the pniut is ma'aleh the chitzoniyut. When we come to Yotzer Or, you see the same idea again.
So.
Yeah, but I think the kavanah is before the Baruch, because yes, the kavanah is beforehand for after. Page 255. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. If you didn't chap it, don't worry, right? But there's a special rashash in Nar Shalom which turns everything upside down. Normally, we say all the tefillot is in the pniut. There's one part of the tefillah which is in the chitzoniyut. That's your Yotzer Or Choshech, is number 14, right? And kind of turns everything, all the rules upside down. That's how it works. Okay, so in other words, you have to, when does 10, 11, and 12 get fixed? We don't mechaven to them. It happens when you get to Shema. But we're now working in suddenly we're walking on the left side, and we jump to the right side to number 14, and we get to Yotzer Or, as it says over here on top of the page. That's 14, 15, and 16, because that's where we have reached. So we need to take them up. Okay? And you see at the bottom of the page, the same idea, the two red houses, yeah, and it explains it. Also, at this point now, we've added in the kavanot, it should be at the top of the page. See the white box, 1/3 of the page? Hey, Vav, hey, the red hey is now the Shemot of Olam HaBriah, which we're adding in. So that means in Baruch Shama, Asiyah went to Yetzirah. Now Asiyah and Yetzirah are going to Briah. And that's what it says in box number 2. Mi Yotzer Adam Midah, Yechaven Tamid. Lichlol v'lekasher v'lechaver hayetzirah ve'asiyah de'atzilut, which is number 3 and 4, which came down, and now it's going back up. Right? It said Tachtona, which is in 18, 19, and 20. Shehem Vav Kedav Vayalma Be'uben, and that's the Shemot that we see, right? And you have to connect it Babriya, which means to Briya, not inside. It means to. I kept the Lashon, but it really means Libriya. But Briya means you're taking and connecting it into the Briya. Right? Which Briya? That's number 2, which is down 10, 11, and 12. If you look on page 6 and look at those numbers, so you understand what we're saying, right? 3 and 4 went down to 18, 19, and 20. See the colors, right? And 26, 27, 28. We took out 26, 27, 28 already in Baruch Shamar. So now we've got 18, 19, and 20, and what used to be 26, 27, and 28, all of which are in 18, 19, and 20. We need to take them up to 10, 11, and 12. Yeah? Clear? So that's what happened over here. And the same thing will happen before Shemona Esrei when you get to the other ones. The ones above, the level above, of Daatsilut. The Bia has to go to Daatsilut. So we go to before Shemona Esrei. So we are here over here, this page. Page 399.
I think Mamish connected with Shaharit, the Mamish connected. That means the bottom of each of them, when you're bringing it up, you mentioned that there's gar of the previous, we're changing around to the bottom of the next one.
Only really with
That
them.
means that Mamish intertwined at the same time, so you're just stopping them.
They're anafim. Look, really, the kelim of Atzilut fell down to Bia. So really, everything has to go back to Atzilut. And they're anafim. They're like branches. But you have to learn it more. The concepts. That each one is shiurim in their own right. We'd spend a whole sugya to get each concept. Atzilut is different to the other ones. There's a lot of things that are written here between the lines, which explain just so you can understand what's going on, without the depth to go through it. It will take hours and hours to go through everything. Okay. But what we've got on page number 399, number 1, Yechaven lichlol lekasher chaber pniut v'chitzoniyut. See both pniut and chitzoniyut of Bia de'atzilut, pniut makifin, which tells you now 2, 3, and 4, which is in 10, 11, and 12. So that's one stage higher than we were before. and then he gives you the names, right? And I can see here the yud should have been in red. There's a mistake. I can see something we can fix. No, we didn't do it. We only did the asamab in red, so it's fine. Don't have to fix it. But can you see what's going on? The last name in the series, before we had Hey Vav Hey, now we added the Yud, which is Daatsilut. Then we had Vav Daled Yud Yud, right? I mean, there's a Yud missing. There's a Yud missing over here. Yud Vav Daled. Can you see the missing Yud? There's a Yud missing. That definitely has to be fixed.
Why is the Yud not in red? But that's good.
Because I didn't use colors over there, because that's easy. You can understand it more easily. I just didn't do it. I didn't use the system everywhere. I need the next section. So you have to add in the Yud before, after the pasek. What do you call it? Yeah. Okay. Happens. Everyone I spoke to that's published said that you're just gonna always be fixing things. No, Hashem. And then fix it. Let's just make sure it wasn't also a problem before. It was just got lost over here and not before. Yeah, it was fine. Yeah. Okay, so that's what we're doing over here. Because nefesh ruach neshama leneshama is daatsilut. Every over here, לפי כף החיים, יש למשמש עטפים של ראש כאן, right after תהילתך, כדי לחבר חיצון אצילות לפנימיות אצילות. Yeah, but if you go back to before Hashem Sefatai Tiftach, you go to Gaal Israel, Ben Ish Chai is very clear where you do it. He says in the words Gaal Israel. So I've written in 391, לפי Ben Ish Chai, יש למשמש תפילין בשל ראש, כאן בגאל ישראל. You understand the difference between the two? So you want to fulfill both opinions to keep your hand there till you get to the other stage, which is very difficult if you're doing. If you learn the covenant of Hashem, Amonai Sefatai Tiftach, I can tell you that Rav Tia gave Shiur Amonai Tiftach for 2 years. Every single day for 2 years. 5 times a week for 2 years. And they used to give 2 shiurim at that time, 2, 3, 4 hour shiurim a day. He used to give. That now gives 1 shiur. To give 2 shiurim a day. The 2 groups in the yeshiva. Amonai Sefatai is like shiur after shiur after shiur. It says, Amonai Sefatai Tiftach. So there's a lot of kavanot in this. There's a whole sefer on Amonai Sefatai Tiftach, which I have at home. So put your hand there. We're going to take you off for half an hour. The problem is you want to turn the page. You can't turn the page. You can't. Amonai Sefatai is not all on one page if you do the kavanot. So it becomes complicated, right? So you do the best that you can. Okay.
Which one is preferable if you're only doing one of them?
The shorter one is the machloka when to do the other one. If you do the longer one, it should be only in the lachas.
Sorry, I mean, if you're only going to do either the Ben Ish Chai or Kaf HaChaim, which one is preferable to do?
Then I follow the Ben Ish Chai usually, but the Kaf HaChaim was the student. The Ben Ish Chai, the Rav Chaim Sofer was the Yaakov Chaim Sofer was the Talmid of the Sadeh, so he knew what he was doing going to the Sadeh. So it's hard to choose, really. I don't even know there's anything wrong with putting your hand during Shemona Esrei. I don't know if it really is a hefsek. What's the big deal? If you need to itch something. No,
One brachot already. This thing you can.
yeah, but that's if you're going to move and go to open the door for someone. It says, "Can I?"
Fixing the talit, the Gemara brachot. There's all these different actions you do.
If it's not to do with the tefillah, then it's a hefsek. But going on from the Rambam, if it's to do with the tefillah, so it's not hefsek. And also, here you haven't really started yet. Because it's Tfilah Richter. Tfilah Richter, is it Shemona Esrei proper or is it just like Shemona Esrei? Yeah, it leads into it. But I don't know if the hefsek, to be mafsik between the Tfilah applies all the dinim of Shemona Esrei in Hashem's Pater, even if it's Tfilah Richter. I'm not pasking, I'm just saying, you're safe with the Ben Ish Chai, put it that way. According to Kaf HaChaim, mainly you have to touch it at that time. So the fame is not a problem. If you pass the Kaf HaChaim, he didn't say to put your hand before Hashem. He said at Teilatecha to touch your tefillin. So for him, it's okay to touch your tefillin at Teilatecha anyway. Right?
Sorry, I missed what you said.
The Kaf HaChaim says, where do you touch your tefillin?
Yeah,
Well, you're not allowed to touch anything. You're saying it's a hefsek. So he doesn't hold like that.
Yeah.
By him, right? The six
Yeah.
words of Tefillah Richter. The Gemara says, what's this Tefillah Richter? 6 words. Hashem Tzvatay Tiftach V'yagid Tfilatecha. Okay, so let's see if we can stop over here. It's a good place to stop. So let's go over what we've learned today again. So we learned there's a Chitzoniut Olamot, which is done for the Abba Maasim. And we need to take up the Birurim. The one really thing that most of all that I wanted to make clear are the places where things are happening. Okay, so we learned that on page 82 in Bod Ketoret, the Birurim come in to the Olamot. How do they come into the Olamot? The page before that, you can see they all come into the Chechalot. That means the ones of Asiya in Asiya, the ones in Yetzirah in Yetzirah. They don't come from underneath and go up. They go across from the side and they come in. And now they're in the Hechalot waiting to be fixed. Where are they in the Hechalot? This is a very complicated, I think the most complicated of all the Kavanot, and I've said it before, is in the Hechalot when you do the words Ezel Mekoman. Why is it complicated? Because there's 3 different girsas, and I've already put them all together into one girsa. And then when we learn it inside, we can see the things which are not mentioned, which should be mentioned, and it's complicated to work out all the stages. So if you just quickly look at the words Ezel Mekoman on page 101, we put it down to 8 stages. So when the Birurim come in, they go into the, since this Hechal is Hechal Yesod, it has to be the Yesod of the other parts of him, of Yasud, Abba Ve'ima, Atik Arich Venuk and Atik Venuk, right? And they all have to go up to a certain place, which is called the Yesod of Atik Venuk, and that's where the Birurim are. And that's where the ones of yesterday will fix the ones of today. I'm telling you something new now. The ones of yesterday are waiting over there. They came down in a certain place in this Hechal to fix the ones of today. And they'll fix 2 families, the ones which are going to stay down below and the ones which are going to go up to Bia Da'atzilot. Get used to the idea of the words Bia Da'atzilot, Rabotai. The ones that are going up to be 2, 3, and 4. Some? Yeah? Okay, so that's what we learned today, Baruch Hashem, that in the word Ketorah, all the Birurim came inside. One last thing I want to mention, if you go back to page 81, we've more or less have a basic understanding that the Birurim have to go up through these Hechalot, the different Olamot, until they're going to end up in 2, 3, and 4. Where is that going to be? When you say the word Shema Yisrael, well, actually, Ahavat Olam. You get to Hechal Avad Debriya, just like in Arvit, Shema Yisrael, already the Tachtonim was taking place in the Hechal Ahavad Debriya, the Chesed of Briya. Remember that? Remember we learned that? Yeah. So then you get to Shema Esrei, then you go all the way to Kodesh Kodeshim and to Daatsilut. But already when in Briya, already we're bringing now back the Gadlut of the Mochin, the Milat Echad. Right, so that's the same thing as Shema of Shacharit. So we need to get to in Bria Techal Ahava. That's what we need. That's where the Birurim need to get to, and then we're going to leave them alone till tomorrow, and then we go back to the ones of yesterday and end up finishing them in Shemona Esrei. So there's going to be a switch around when we get to Shema, right? But already the switch around is Echal Ahava de Bria. Ahavat Olam is Echal Ahava de Bria. In the words Ahavat Olam, things are going to change. They're going to be swapsies. Yep. That's one thing. Now, the last thing I want to say for today is if we go back to page 81, something new that we need to just bear in mind because it will come into the Siddur. When I said that the Bia Tachtonim remain in their place, it's not 100% accurate, right? So let's get this straight. Every day, when we finish Aleinu L'Shabeach, everything that we fixed, these parts of him, they go back down. And then again, they go back up in Mincha, and then they go back down, right? After Shemona Esrei, after Aleinu Shabbat. And then Arbit, they come again, and then they go back down after Aleinu Shabbat. And then they stay in the Klipot, well, not Klipot, meaning in Biyadach Tachtonim, where the Klipot are outside them. So that when the ones come in tomorrow, they're elevated to take them up. That's why they go down. Yeah? Like it says by Rachel, it says, they go to give, to help the other ones. The mother looks after the children. They just go pull them out from there. So these ones will pull out the Birurim from the Klipat Noga every day. Okay? And then they're going to go back up to Daatsilut. When you get to Echad al-Shema, they're even going to go further to Da'atsilut, number one. Okay, so they really, everything really belongs in number one, right? But to get to number one, they have to first be 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3 first to go down to all the different places, and then bring them back up to 2, 3, and 4, because that's called Bia Da'atsilut, and then they become number one. Okay, that's how the order has to work. Those are the Birurim that we metaken in Shmona Esrei. But the Bia Tachtonim, if you look at this, the best place to look at it is on page 6. Bia Tachtonim, let's take 26, 27, 28. What's that called? Asiya Tachtona. Yeah? So the ones that belong in number 4 will go up, but they'll leave behind the ones which are called Bia Tachtonim, which will stay in 26, 27, 28. Yeah? Understand?
Yeah.
So this 26, 27, 28, Mark 2, not Mark 1 goes up to Da'atsilut, but Mark 2 also gets fixed. And this is called the Aliyah Mitlat Litlat. And at certain places in the Tefillah, hen in the Hechalot, also in the Brachot, even in the beginning of Baruch Shamar and Yotzei Or, and even in every Bracha of Shmona Esrei, every single Bracha, they go Mitlat Litlat. What does that mean? From 3 to 3. 26, 27, 28 will do one Aliyah, and it will go to 22, 23, 24 on the Chitzoniyut HaOlamot. And then it will go to the left, 18, 19, 20. So they go like this, right? But they're going on their own kav. They are never going to become Atzilut. When I say Atzilut, the Ovi. See, number 1 is Atzilut. They keep on going up and up and up and up to Roma Ma'alot. They keep on going up till Mashiach comes. But they never become Atzilut. They're different erech. They're called Bia Tachtonim. So that too we have to be part of. But that's something which, when we get to talk about it, we'll talk about it. But I'm just saying, that's also, why am I telling you this? Because there's 2 different mishpachot. There's Bia Tachtonim, which belong in Bia Tachtonim, and they remain in Bia. Even if they go up, but they only go up where they belong in that different place, right? It's like you go on a plane and you've got the air stewardesses and the pilot, right? When you get off the plane, they remain on the plane. They never leave the plane. We go to Mekalia, we go to Eretz Yisrael, right? The truth is they are going to come off the plane, but like for the passengers, they're just there for the passengers, right? So it's not the best mashal, but it explains a bit. I mean, they're different purposes. These guys are the real passengers that are going to where they're going. These guys are going to get off the plane. They're going to come back on the plane and go back home, right? They live on the plane. They never leave the plane. Yeah, we get off the plane and we're just using the plane to go somewhere better. Okay, so there's Birurim, they have to get to number 1. So they start off at the bottom, and then you collect them, and they go up, 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 up. They come to 2, 3, and 4, and then they go into number 1. So really, they belong to number 1. The real mahut is they came from number 1. The Shirat HaKilim, they fell into the Rafach, and now we have to take them home to number 1. But if it was so simple, we just put them in number 1, but it doesn't work like that. We need 3 days to get them there. Right? They have to come in, go up, come back down, go up again, and then on day 2 they'll go there. By day 3 they stay there forever. Yeah. Whereas Bia Tachtonim, they will go on their kav from 3 to 3, all like this, all the way up and up and up. And every day you do another one, take them up. And the different places where we take them up. So each time you make a tikkun, they go up 1 level, they get bumped up. Chitzoniyut, Pniimiyut, like that. Yeah. So they're a different type of Birurim. Baruch Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen. כן, בבקשה. אבי יחד ימי קשה אומר, עשה ברוך הוא לזכות ישראל